Being present means you have to be aware. I have to be aware of my surroundings. Specifically, to be aware means just to pay attention. And there are those two dreaded words, pay attention. There's negative connotations with that phrase for just about everybody. It's registered as a command, not a suggestion. On top of that, in order to be present, you're supposed to be calm. Many people reading this don't know how to be calm. That's not an indictment. That's just not something we're all familiar with. We're far better at being busy. Even the idea of trying to be calm can give one a little anxiety. We think we should be something else. Now, we're starting out with both feet in the hole. If I pay attention, if I stay calm, I'll be present. But paying attention gives rise to my anxiety, and trying to be calm isn't really clear, so that raises the tension as well. How do you expect me to be present if I'm climbing higher on the ladder of stress? I'll give you an example of what I do when people are in front of me and I need to school them through this process. A guy comes into my office, sits down, and begins complaining about stress. Intense guy, going 90 miles an hour. He tells me his life is hectic, his pace is constant, he can't relax, and he doesn't know how to keep from being tense. I explain the idea of being present to him, tell him how important it is, but he doesn't get it. He nods his head, gives me a little lip service, then carries on with his complaints. Now, outside of my office, I have a bird feeder. Goldfinches gather on these two long feeders full of seed, crashing into each other and eating like there's no tomorrow. And as my client is speaking, I look out the window, and pointing at these feeders, I say, "What do you think about those?" I look back at my client, and he's looking at the birds. I look back at the birds and listen for his response. He says, "You mean the birds?" When I tell him that, yes, I was referring to the birds, and I say, "These guys have been coming to my office since 2005. It took them about 6 months to find the feeder, but once they hit it, they brought their family, their friends, finches they haven't seen since high school. I mean, just about every goldfinch in the tri-state area comes and visits these bird feeders." Now this guy is looking at the bird feeders, and to hold his interest, I point at one particularly well-fed goldfinch. I tell him that that one seems to get here often and eats his weight in seed. He laughs a little. Then just before he goes back to his complaint, I stop him and say, "Did you notice what just happened?" He said, "What? What just happened?" I mentioned to him that he noticed the goldfinches, that he saw the fat one I was pointing to, observed the seed in the feeders, and stopped his interpersonal explanation of woe long enough to look outside of my window and see the goldfinch ballet on their feeder buffet. He said exactly what I thought he was going to say. So? Here's what I said in response. When I guided your focus over to the birds, you paid attention. You calmed down. You were present only with the birds and their feeding. For about 20 seconds, your thoughts changed. No distractions. Just you looking at those little balls of feathers pigging out outside my window. At that moment, I redirected your attention and you became present. You were with those birds. The only thing that mattered at the moment were the birds, and they were the only thought in your head. My client had calmed down. I saw it in his breathing, and I noticed it in his expression. I said, that's what being present is all about. Just focusing on something outside of yourself, giving it just a little bit of attention, and allowing yourself to feel the calm that the focus facilitates. When you begin to think outside of yourself and notice for a moment just what's in front of you, you are present toward what you are seeing. You keep noticing, and you'll find yourself becoming a little more calm and a little more relaxed. My friends, this is essentially it. Being present is focusing on anything outside of yourself just for a minute. That's the beginning. It's offering something attention in the moment, just seeing what it is, noticing it for that second. You become calm and your attention deepens. That is what being present is all about.